So today we're talking with Ilana Yagudayev, and she is a Jew from a Muslim country, Uzbekistan, who immigrated to the U.S. and became a successful entrepreneur. I don't think I've ever had an Uzbekistanian. I don't know how you say that, like Uzbekistani.
Yes,
I don't
you
know what you.
actually did a good job.
Okay, there you go. I don't ever think I've had one of those. I don't. Certainly not a Jew from that country who immigrated. So tell me a little bit about that story of how you immigrated here and what happened.
So we used to live. Uzbekistan used to be one of the 15 republics of Soviet Union, and so I attended Russian. We had Russian schools and we had Uzbek schools, and so I attended Russian schools and learned with everyone. My group of friends were they were from Korea, from Greece. They were it was multi-international group. Tashkent is where I'm from. It's a big city. And so we had big universities there. So a lot of people would come in from different countries to study. Some of them would stay, become professionals and stay. And so that was my group of friends. And growing up, I knew I was a Jew. We did not practice openly. Soviet Union did not give that. We did not have that luxury, but I did know my background. We celebrated our holidays and kept Sabbath at home, and so I knew. And my grandparents were pretty religious, so they had back when before Soviet Union took over. Just a little bit of history of Uzbekistan, the way how Jews ended up in that region is through trade. So they were trading from Persia, from Afghanistan, and they were coming up. It's like a Silk Road. So China, and so through trade, some families settled in certain areas, and that's how we ended up there. Some people, through the going even further back, after the Spanish Inquisition, when Jews were not welcome in Spain anymore, they kind of went all over the place, and so some of them ended up there as well. So
Wow.
there's different ways that the Jews ended up in that region, and we grew up there. We knew their language. Uh, Everybody, Soviet Union took over. Like, it kind of everybody we were making it a home, and then when the Soviet Union started falling apart, that's when it's like something happens, and I think the Jews were the first ones to get attacked, and I think something similar is happening in the United States. And that's why, to me, it's very scary when I see the situations and the anti-Semitism that comes up. Because I used to tell this, about anti-Semitism to my kids through my experiences, and now my kids are experiencing the same things, which is just history repeating itself and in a different country.
Yeah.
Never did I expect for that to happen in the United States. And so, we lived in an apartment building. We started, friends who grew up with us, Uzbek friends, especially my brother's best friend, actually. He wanted to burn our apartment. So we actually caught it in time and de-escalated the situation. And then after that, my father said, you know what, I don't think it's safe for us to stay here.
So you said it was your brother's best friend?
Yes, he grew
So
up together with him.
how does that work? How does a best friend want to burn the
Yeah.
apartment down of his best friend? How does that work?
Because he was told we are Jews, and before it was not. Maybe people knew where it was not. I mean, we grew up together, right? We lived in the same buildings. We went to the same schools, or we played in the same courtyards, playgrounds. It was. I don't know what changed. I was 11. I was 12 when all of this, like the big things, started happening.
Mm.
My father didn't allow me to go to school anymore. They were throwing stones at us, screaming, "You're Jews! Get out of here!" Like, it was just a lot of unsafe environment for the kids, for us. And so my father did not allow us to go to school, and we were trying to figure out how we can get out of the situation.
What city
Um,
was this? Where were you?
this is Tashkent, Uzbekistan. And this
So
is
that
a city. This is a big city. This is not like it's a suburbs or somewhere where people not educated, people don't know anything. This is a big city, so this is not like it's like I don't want to say New York City, but it's something like it's a it's like I said, there are a lot of people that that came to that area to live and to study.
And so
Um,
you were in a Muslim country, so I kind of make the assumption that your brother's best friend was a Muslim, right?
yes, yes.
So do you believe that that had do you believe that that was the root cause of that hatred towards Jews, was because he grew up as a Muslim with that he was indoctrinated with that kind of that ideology?
I don't know exactly because they grew up. It was not an issue before. It became an issue when things went sour.
Yeah.
And so I think this is where the line, it's interesting how the turn of events. I don't know. I can't speak for what happened in their family. I'm sure that kids growing up, in my understanding, it's something that's learned. Right? Hate is something that's learned. It's not
Yeah.
something that you are born with. And so it's probably was talked about at home, or in the environment that this his friend was in, and it resonated, and we received that hate.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's important for all of us to stand up for those that need to be defended, and whether they're Jews or Muslims or Hindus or Christians or whatever, hate has no place in any of this. So sorry you had to deal with that, but it led to the life that you now experience and enjoy. So because I think you said at age 13, so shortly after that event, your family said, "Hey, we got to get the heck out of Dodge."
Yes,
So we're going to move to the U.S. And you moved to where? Where did you move to
we
when you first?
actually ended up in New York.
Okay,
So we
and that's
moved.
where you are today.
Yeah, that's where I am today. Yes, we're here over 30 years, and I'm very, very grateful. Every day, I'm grateful to God that we're here. I'm grateful to my parents that they brought us here and gave us so many opportunities. Jews back then, even though it was civil, did not have the opportunities of going to school of their choice sometimes. There was, to get a job of their choice sometimes, and so it was not. There were not many opportunities. Here, it's like you all you have to do is just want something, and you can get it. And yes, I understand that there's some, there's minorities, there are different ethnic groups, but there's still a way to get to your goal. And there's so many opportunities here. And so when we came here, my father, like at dinner every time, and he worked very hard. He was a civil engineer in Russia, in Soviet Union. And when we came here, he worked like 2, 3 jobs to support the family, and he did not care. He was sick. It did not matter. He went to work, and every day he would come home for dinner. We would have dinner, and he would tell us how proud that so he counted himself as an American when he got a document, a citizenship, and people would, obviously he had a very heavy accent, and they would say, where are you from? Who are, what nationality you are? And he would say, I'm an American, with pride. And so for him, that was the epitome of like that pinnacle moment that he became an American. And
That's great.
so, yes, and that carried with us. We are very grateful, and so my kids are as well, that we
Yeah.
have.
So
And every
we
day I tell them the opportunities that they have, and don't take it for granted.
well, that's true. We do take it for granted as a natural born U.S. citizen, of many generations of American natural born citizens. I am grateful, but I have to be reminded of it. I have to go. Okay, there it is a privilege to live here. It is I thank God for the fact that I was born here and didn't have to experience what so many millions and millions of people like you and your family had to experience and have to run away. But I also think about, man, like there's not anybody trying to escape here. There's nobody trying to leave here. People are willing to crawl under barbed wire, swim through whatever they got to swim through to get into this country, which should tell us how blessed we are to be in this
Yeah.
country. So I'm glad that you're here and you have maintained. It sounds to me like you've maintained your Jewish faith with your family throughout all of this, and so and you're building a great business, which we'll get to. Now, I am a follower of Jesus Christ, and I know that obviously we have that difference. And just so you know, I usually tell people this before the show starts, and for some reason I didn't say anything. I don't know, but I always sign off with Jesus is King. So when you hear me say that, it has nothing to do with you. I say that every single time. I'm not trying to disrespect my Jewish guest
No,
on the show. So
that's
I'm just
fine.
letting you know that I'm going to say that before we end today.
Okay.
Now let's talk about your entrepreneurial journey. So you're a pharmacist now, you have this grand goal of helping 1 million baby boomers by the age of 20, or by the year 2034 to age gracefully in their homes, which I have a personal story that I'd love to share with you about why I believe that is so important. And you've got this program called Aging Gracefully at Home.
Let's take a quick break to thank our amazing sponsors for making this podcast possible.
I finally got it. It's the brand new Relay credit card. So check it out. I'm gonna do a little unboxing for you so you can check this out. So here we go. Nice little case, kind of like the American Express. You know, they're not playing. They're doing it right. Oh, look at this. There's a quote right inside. It says, "Success is having to worry about every damn thing in the world except money." Johnny Cash. That's pretty good. I've not heard that one. Oh, this is nice. A little thing on the back, up to 1.5% cash back, no annual fees or interest, 30-day billing cycle. And there it is. It's the Relay credit card. It's a Visa. So I'm not going to show you my number, but there it is. Look at that. Boom. Go to therealjasonduncan.com/relay.
Thanks for listening to our sponsors. Now, back to the show.
So why is that an important thing for you to have these people age in home? Did you have, were like, is there grandparents, is there parents? Like what happened to make you attached to that as a mission?
So one day I was at work, busy pharmacy, a lot of phone calls, and I pick up the phone. My sister's on the other line, saying, it was shocking because she usually doesn't call me at work. And she said, "Couldn't reach you, but we're in the hospital with mom. She's having a hard time breathing, not quite sure." And I'm her healthcare proxy, so she had to call me. She says, "I'm not sure what's going on. Can you get over here?" And so for me, that was a shock. I couldn't believe that she was, that I received that call in the middle of the day. So obviously I dropped everything. I went to the hospital, and in the hospital, we found out that she had pulmonary embolism. And so what pulmonary embolism is, it's a blood clot that traveled from her leg. She developed blood clot. It traveled up from her leg into her lungs, and it was clotting up the heart valve, it affecting her heart as well. And this is a disease, not a disease, but this is an ailment where it's life-threatening. And so we were very, very lucky that it was a small enough clot that we were able to, she was alive and we were able to treat her. And so after, a few days about a week in the hospital, she was released. And just to let you know, she went home. She lives by herself. My father passed away about 27 years ago now. And so she lives by herself, and she was, we made her feel comfortable. Do you need anything? Here are your medications that you need to start taking. I explained everything to her, as a pharmacist. I thought, and her background is, she was a nurse. She was a visiting nurse actually back in Soviet Union. So she has experience of, medical, she understands medicine and, the diseases and medications. So I left it with her, and she said, she looks like she comprehended. She felt fine. I felt she was safe enough to be home by herself. And so I went home, and the next morning I called her from my work, and I said, "Hi, Mom, how are you feeling? What's going on? Did you take your medication?" And she tells me, "What medication?" So I said, "Mom, I left it out on the table, kitchen table for you. You're supposed to take these medications to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And, because there's a chance of blood clots coming in." And she was just so disoriented and I think she never took medications before. And for her, it was such a shock of if that changed, that now she needs to be on medications. I looked at her, and she was, when I came already to the house, I saw her like just being disheveled. I didn't recognize her, and she's not, she's pretty young. So what I did was I took everything to my store. I prepackaged it for her, so there's a date and a time when she needs to take her medication. I brought it back to her, explaining how to take it, and this way, for me as well, I could monitor if she's taking the medications or not, because if she's opening the packages. And I think that kind of gave her a confidence that she's not, she's going to be taking it on time. She knew what to take when, and everything was already pre-made, so she didn't have to think twice. She just knew when to take it. And that gave me comfort as well, that I knew that she was taking her medications and we're not going to have a recurrence of this disease. And I came, that week actually, I came to work and looking at my patients and seeing, I have so many elderly patients who I'm sure going through nursing homes coming back, or rehabilitation centers coming back, or hospitalizations and coming back. And most of them are like on a lot of medications. How are they managing? She, for her, it was like 2-3 medications, but how are they managing the whole slew of their meds? And so I kind of started paying attention to that. And I realized that this is a service that is much needed because of the fact that, when you are being transferred from one facility to home or anywhere, first of all, your medications change because the facilities usually have their different formularies than what you have at home. So you need to make sure that it's reconciled. And second, sometimes the regimens change. And so how do you keep track of all of that, especially after an event that happened, right? You went to the hospital for a reason. And so just recovering emotionally and physically from that event takes toll on you and on your family, because many people are working, they have families, they have businesses, they have work, and it's difficult to come to your parents' home or your grandparents' home and keep track of all of that, especially since you never dealt with it before. And so
I
we
remember
decided,
my grandmother, my dad's mom, but actually my mom's mom and my dad's mom both had Alzheimer's. But I remember my grandmother, my dad's mom, she started getting dementia. She was living at home by herself. And I remember buying her for Christmas that year one of these big like digital pill boxes, because she took so many, and it would open, it would unlock at certain times to remind her. And it, even that, it wouldn't work. So my aunt and uncle had to come over all the time because they lived close by to help. And then my other grandmother, who just recently passed away this year, the same thing. It was like this taking of medications at home alone is really, really a big issue. So now I'm going to back up in your story though, because you're the owner of Drug Mart Pharmacy.
yes.
So this idea of paying attention to the drugs, obviously that's who you are. That's what you do as an entrepreneur. How did you start as a pharmacist? Did you know you wanted to be a pharmacist, and did you think you were going to go work for a pharmacy like Walgreens, or did you always know you were going to start your own pharmacy?
No, actually, I wanted to be an engineer.
Yeah, like your dad.
And I wanted to follow my father's footsteps. He was a civil engineer, and I thought he would be so proud of me, And when I came to, when it came the time, I was finishing up high school, and he said, "Well, have you decided what you want to do?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going, I want to be an engineer." I was really excelling in math. I did very well, and I felt like, something that would be useful. And he said, "No, I don't think this is the right path for you." And, it looks in something in the medical profession. And, I grew up in Soviet Union. So, it's when your father says something, it's not because of, who you are, or it's just, he means well, and you need to, usually like we listen and kind of give it thought. And so I thought about it, and I said, and he explained to me, he said, it's long hours, it's difficult, why his reasoning for me not to have that path, not to take that path. And so when I looked at the medical profession, my mom was a nurse, and so I asked her, how was it? And I remember actually as a kid, when I was, off from school, she would take me with her to home visits. And it's not something that I liked doing. So I said, you know what, I really don't want to be a nurse. I didn't want to be a doctor at that time because I thought it was a very long process of getting to, being an MD, a lot of schooling. So and I just like look back and see what I'm good at. I was very good at math, and I was very good at chemistry. And so pharmacy kind of fit very well into that, because that's what it is. It's chemistry. And so I decided that I will go to pharmacy, but I wanted to be in the lab. So I wanted to actually create new medications. So that was the intent originally. And then I went to pharmacy school. I got married, and I had my 3 children through pharmacy school. And so, it was difficult, and I needed to go to get my master's and my PhD. And so I said, you know what, they're little. I wanted to spend time with them. Let me just kind of get my license, work a little bit, and then go back. And when I started working, I was a little bit disappointed at pharmacy, not because I wanted to be in the retail setting. It's just, when you are in school, you kind of have everything rosy glasses, but then when you come to actual work and, dealing with insurances and just kind of dealing with the back end of pharmacy, I was a little bit taken by that.
Yeah, it's very different when you get in the real world.
Oh
Everybody's
yeah.
entrepreneurs. They have this idea of experiencing as a consumer whatever it is that they're trying to do. And then you get on the other side of the table. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is a lot different than I thought it was
Yeah,
going to be.
for sure. And you're like, I did not sign up for that, right?
Well,
Uh,
when did you start? When did you start Drug Mart?
So Drug Mart, I started 5 years ago. Before that, I had Ilana's Pharmacy. It was actually right next to. I graduated St. John's University, and it was not. It's not too far. It's still there. It's not too far from my school where I used to go. It's in the Jamaica Estates area, so we bought a house nearby. And it was perfect. I had my kids, it was easy access to my kids. It was next to my home. I knew my patients. Every time I would go, it was just a big family of, I didn't say my patients or customers were just family and friends. And so it was amazing. I opened it up. It was sweat. Oh my gosh. The first night, I never will forget. It was a grand opening. And I'm like, I never had the experience of owning a business, and I did not sleep that night worrying and like, oh my gosh, like it's done, it's happening, it's actually happening, and then when, little by little, I fell in love with the business. I fell in love with creating relationships. I fell in love with giving to community, and it was such a, it being in a retail pharmacy, you are in the community, and you are so accessible. So people coming in every day talking, and you right away, like they don't have to wait for an appointment to tell you what's going on with them. They can come in and tell you anytime. So it's that feedback, constant feedback, where
Yeah.
you recommend something, and they come in and like, oh my god, it actually worked. I had so many. I opened up. It was such a it was so interesting. I had so many babies that year, where like it was very. I forgot the word. We had one of my first patients came in. She got pregnant, and she had a lot of miscarriages, and so she ran into the store asking for a particular medication that could stop the miscarriage, and it said, you know what. I don't have it, but I can get it for you later on today. I was lucky enough to have to sign up with a wholesaler that brought in deliveries twice. So I said, I can order it. I can have it later today. She said, well, perfect, because I need it for the night. I said again. And, a few weeks back, she came back to the store. She said, you don't understand what you did. You saved my child. I still remember them. His name is Max. And it just brings tears to my eyes because
That's great.
she came back when she gave birth, for me to meet him. And it's just like these relationships that you make. And I know all of my patients, their families, what they're going through, all of their things that they go to, happy moments, their sad moments, their difficult moments. And, I'm so grateful that I can support them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, let's talk. I want to talk a little bit about, before I start asking you some questions about success in general. Age gracefully at home offers adults the comfort of staying at home while receiving nursing facility level care. And you've got this set up with medication management, following up with doctors, support, health goals, like all that stuff. And it's inexpensive. I think it's like starts at $65 a month. And you're currently doing this in New York with your plans to expand. So I'll tell you, and I want to ask you how you're building this, is that one of my goals is I want to make sure that my parents and my mother-in-law, my father-in-law is already deceased, but my parents and my mother-in-law never have to leave their home and go to a nursing home. I want them to be able to stay in their home. And my goal is to be able to be wealthy enough that is a reality, that I can do that. And so programs like yours would certainly make that much easier to accomplish. So
Let's take a quick break to thank our amazing sponsors for making this podcast possible.
as an entrepreneur running multiple businesses, effective communication is critical for me. I've tried all kinds of outreach tools over the years, but none have compared to Dubb when it comes to driving real results, and that's DUBB. I was one of Dubb's first users. I think it was like 7 years ago when they first launched, and I've been a loyal customer ever since. Dubb has completely transformed my prospecting, my client communication strategy, and here's why. Dubb makes it simple to record personal video messages and share them across email, SMS, social media, and more. And this brings back the face-to-face connection that's missing from most digital outreach. And what happens is my prospects instantly feel more engaged when they can put my face to my name. I end up building a stronger relationship faster by incorporating these video messaging into my workflow. Dubb also provides tracking and analytics so I can see exactly who engages with my videos and how they respond to them. Their automation and their CRM features help me nurture leads and close more deals. I mean, that's what we're trying to do, right, as entrepreneurs. So after using Dubb for years, I absolutely can't recommend them enough. I mean, Ruben, those guys over there are phenomenal. I love Darius. They're all great guys. It's become an invaluable tool that I depend upon to run my businesses efficiently. And if you want to boost your outreach and see amazing results like I have, head over to therealjasonduncan.com/Dubb, that's DUBB, and you can try it completely for free. No credit card required. You get the first 50% off your first 2 months, by the way, if you use my link. You need to take your prospecting to the next level with video messaging from Dubb. They're my go-to sales communication platform for nearly 7 years and counting. Go to therealjasonduncan.com/Dubb. Try it for free, no credit card required, and you'll get 50% off your first 2 months as well.
Thanks for listening to our sponsors. Now, back to the show.
What are you doing in that home to make sure? Is it actually physically people going into the home and helping, or how does it work?
So we do it, yes. The way it is, it's actually, you're telling it is a low cost, but they're eligible Medicare or Medicaid patients who are now Medicare is looking into this because they understand that there's so many baby boomers, they will not be able to have so many facilities to accommodate them, and so they are actually looking for these services to be provided at home, and they started to cover these services. So it will be very affordable in the very near future. And what we do, and the biggest thing is, and I noticed with my patients, is that the biggest challenge is managing the medications. And this is why most of these patients go to a facility because it's being managed there for them. And so what we're doing, taking that big load off of managing the medications. We keep track of their refills. We keep track of their therapies. We make sure that they're on the correct medications. They're on correct therapies. We speak to them monthly. Every month we call the doctors to make sure we keep the refills, to make sure that the patients are on appropriate therapy and everything that they should be on. Sometimes we find things to just deprescribe. So they've been on certain, with a certain ailment that they've been dealing with, and so we would ask them, how are you doing this? Do you still feel this way? Do you still, you need this? And so sometimes we find that patients don't need it anymore, and we call the doctors saying, maybe we should deprescribe this. Yeah. And so this is the biggest thing, is we're monitoring. We do come in for initial visit. We come to their homes. I actually, right now I do it myself. I come to their home and I look through their medicine cabinets, all of the medicine, what they are taking, their supplements, as well as their medications. So whatever that they're currently taking, I look through their expiration dates. I look, what do you take? I ask them, what do you take this for, so that they know what it is. And then the medications that they are. So initially, I take away whatever the medications they're on. Those bottles, I take them. I take the supplements because we put them together. So it's a supplement as well as over-the-counter products as well as medications, and so we package that together. They don't have to do anything. So I take that away from them. We pre-package everything initially, and we send it we send it to their home. And then after that, we start filling it in our store, and so that we can keep track of what they're getting. We keep track of their over-the-counter products. We're making sure there's no drug interactions. If there's something new that's being ordered, it goes through us, and so we totally keep track of all of that. And I think that this is the biggest burden on the families for these patients. Also, the other hand of it is I found that a lot of people it's difficult for them to give that up. They feel like they're giving up control of their lives through the medications, because they're so used to, either preparing medications for themselves or for their spouse. And so, and that's another unexpected issue that came up. And I had so many patients, or the children of these patients, coming in and saying, I would love this packaging, but my mom's just, she just gets so upset because she feels like this is her job. She's supposed to be doing this. And so my answer to that was, give it a try. And it's going to free up her time to do other things that she loves, and, to spend time with her grandchildren, to do her hobbies that she's, meant to do for such a long time, or, spend time with her friends. And so, and eventually it becomes a blessing, because they're surprised how easy it is, and then they're surprised that they don't have to deal with this anymore, and there's a luxury of time now, and they're able to do more things.
Well, then time, when you get to that age, time is the most important thing to think about. You don't get that back, and it's accelerating quickly in a way that we don't want to think about, but that's the reality. So let me ask you, Ilana, as we move to the final segment of our show today, I got 3 questions for you. First question, how do you define success? What does that mean to you? As somebody who's immigrated from another country, fled from another country into this country, and become an entrepreneur, what do you believe that word success means?
Well, so to me, success is multi stages. Success for me generally is living my vision of my life, of what I want to do, and how I see my life is. And also, I have daily successes. That, success of knowing that my children are well, knowing that they can provide for themselves, that they're not a burden to anyone. Meaning, they're now have grown up and marrying, and I know that they will be providing for their spouses, or helping their spouses. So I am that's a success for me. Success is, doing my work and helping others, making a difference in people's lives, creating communities, helping communities. So I live for that, and I think part of being pharmacist is just it's interesting how, being from engineer, going to a pharmacy, thinking, just picking a profession, but now that I'm in it and I'm living it, it's mine. Like, I own it, and it feels good to be in this profession. It feels good to be part of this community that I'm serving, and I'm just so grateful and feel privileged. So to me, that's my success.
So you said living my vision. So based on that definition of success, do you consider yourself to be a success?
Yes, absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Now, as we finish the show, I want to give you the last word. I want you to look into the camera and speak to the listeners. What is your best piece of advice as an entrepreneur to another entrepreneur? What would you say?
So I think it's creating the vision, that clarity, and discipline. So I've been challenged with that. I think discipline of, having that vision that you want, where you want to be, and chipping away at it daily, and making yourself better every day. And I think the opportunity to grow and expand, and with that opportunity within yourself, you are able to do more for others. And I'm very grateful that I've learned that, and I'm very grateful that I can live that.
Ilana Yagudayev, thank you for being on the show today. I want to tell everybody you can go check her out on Facebook at Drug Mart NY. So if you just go to Facebook, look up Drug Mart NY, you can find Ilana there. I'm sure she's on other platforms, but go check her out on Facebook. And she, if you're in the New York City area and you want this service to age gracefully at home, please go check her out. Drug Mart Pharmacy. What she's doing is fantastic. So Ilana, thank you so much for being on the show today. It's been an honor to have a conversation with you.
It was such a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Well, there you have it. Another successful entrepreneur. This time, an interesting background. I mean, like I said at the beginning, I've never interviewed an Uzbekistani or I don't know how you would refer to that, but somebody from that country, and certainly somebody who's immigrated and fled for their life as a Jew, being oppressed by the Muslims in that country, and came here to New York, to the United States of America for a better life, and then became an entrepreneur. So entrepreneurship and the American way of life, I don't think there's any better way of living. So thank you to her. Congratulations to her for all her success. And if you listen to her, she said living her vision is her definition of success. Are you living your vision? Are you living what you want to accomplish? And if not, why not? Why aren't you pursuing that? I want to thank all of you for listening to the show, for watching it. If you're not watching on YouTube, go to therealjasonduncan.com slash YouTube. Oh, no, wait, it's youtube.com/therealjasonduncan. And we're just now starting a new channel specifically for this podcast. So you can look up The Root of All Success on YouTube, and you can watch all my episodes. We're over 270 episodes now. So go check it out. Again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. As always, I am the real Jason Duncan, and Jesus is King.
Thank you for listening to another edition of The Root of All Success with the real Jason Duncan. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, visit therootofallsuccess.com to access the show notes and other helpful resources. Follow Jason on social media at The Real Jason Duncan. See you again next time here on The Root of All Success.